The next one is the Count of St Germain, and this learned courtier rose to prominence in European society in the 18th century. He was claimed to be son of a prince, accused of being a spy in London, and then he hung around to give a few musical performances. He was a prolific composer, and he tried to negotiate peace between England and France, despite the fact that no one asked him to, especially not the King of France. He was a fascinating dude, even before he started telling people he was several centuries old. Okay? Could control nature, and had the ability to combine a bunch of small diamonds into a big one. He also may have prophesied the French Revolution, but I'm pretty sure anyone with a bit of social awareness who visited France in the 1700s could have called that. Interesting. Yeah, there is. I agree, Ike. There's something to it. Absolutely. That's the Count of St. Germain. And, of course, we have our infamous Aleister Crowley. And anybody who's read anything about magic and cults and occult and stuff knows Aleister Crowley. He was born in 1875. He is the most modern magician on the list. So if you were dismissing all these other guys of having lived in the past when everything people didn't understand was called magic, which was pretty much everything, Crowley was performing magic until his death in 1945. Heck, he created the elaborate system of Thelema magic, spelled M-A-G-I-C-K, which allows its practitioners to summon spirits, banish them, consecrate places, see the future, travel astrally, and more. This sounds uncannily like sorcery and Dungeons and Dragons again, but Aleister Crowley never shot anyone with a magic missile that we know of. So, Mr. Aleister Crowley. What about Chris Angel? Yeah, he was. Yes, he was. Yep. Yes, he was. He is definitely a figure to be reckoned with for sure. What about magic? What do you think? There's definitely something to it. I think whether it's yes, he did. But there has to be something to this. Seriously. There's a documentary on Aleister Crowley. He's called The Wickedest Man. And it's on YouTube. The Wickedest Man. Anton LaVey was another one. I don't know how you would I don't know if you would Would you categorize him as a magician? He was an English occultist, ceremonial magician, poet, painter, novelist, and mountaineer. He identified himself as a prophet entrusted with guiding humanity into the Eon of Horus in the early 20th century. He published widely over the course of his life. He rejected the fundamental Christian faith to pursue in this field. He focused his attentions on mountaineering and poetry, resulting in, of course, several publications. Some biographers believe he was actually recruited into a British intelligence agency, suggesting that he remained a spy throughout his life. Yep. This is how he spelled it. He did not spell it M-A-G-I-C. This is how he spelled magic. He suggests he remained a spy throughout his life. In 1898, he joined the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, where he was trained in ceremonial magic by Samuel Liddell, MacGregor Mathers, and Alan Bennett. Moving to By Loch Ness in Scotland, he went mountaineering in Mexico before studying Hindu and Buddhist practices. Okay. He married Rose Edith Kelly, and they honeymooned in Cairo, Egypt, where Crowley claimed to have been contacted by a supernatural entity named Awas, who provided him with the Book of the Law, a sacred text that served as a basis for Thelema. Announcing the start of the Aeon of Horus, the book declared its followers should do what thou will and seek to align themselves through the practice of magic. Hi, Gina. Glad you could join us. What do you think of Aleister Crowley? Was he just... did he do real magic? What do you think? After an unsuccessful attempt to climb and a visit to India and China, Crowley returned to Britain, where he attracted attention as a prolific author of poetry, novels, and occult literature. In 1907, he and George Cecil Jones, they co-founded the Thelemite order, through which they propagated the religion. After spending time in Algeria, he was initiated into another esoteric order, the German-based OTO, rising to become the leader of its British branch, which he reformulated in accordance with his beliefs. Thelemite groups were established in Britain, Australia, and North America. Oh, thank you for being here. What do you think of Aleister Crowley, guys? Please, tell me what you think. That's what we're here for. Crowley spent the First World War in the U.S., where he took up painting and campaigned for the German war effort against Britain. Oh, way to go. He later revealed that he had infiltrated the pro-German movement to assist the British intelligence services. In 1920, he established the Abbey of Thelema, a religious commune in Sicily, where he lived with various followers. Okay. His lifestyle led to denunciations in the British press, and the Italian government evicted him in 1923. He divided the following 2 decades between France, Germany, and England. He gained widespread notoriety during his lifetime, being a recreational drug experimenter, oh, there you go, bisexual, and an individualist social critic. He was denounced in the popular press as the wickedest man in the world and a Satanist. He has remained a highly influential figure over Western and the counterculture, and continues to be considered a prophet. He was a character, to say the least. Yeah, Aleister, I don't know. He was creepy, if you ask me. They also call him a pansexual, mystic, occultist, ceremonial magician, deviant, recreational drug experimenter, and accomplished mountaineer. So there you go. Throw that mountaineer in there. He's a trip. Definitely. What do you think of him? Yeah, he's a scary looking guy too, isn't he? He's been on several, they've showed him on several documentaries, such as one of them was called The Wickedest Man in the World. It's a top documentary film if you want to check it out. Let me see something here. Okay, yes. Yeah, he's a real creepy looking guy, isn't he? He's scary looking. I wouldn't want to meet him in a dark alley for sure. Did Aleister Crowley accidentally summoned the Loch Ness Monster. Ike was just talking about this. And one might not even have a reason to compare Nessie with occultist Aleister Crowley, unless it's, of course, to make a point they've both been called monsters. But the two may have more in common than you think. The mystic and monster hunters are to believe Crowley and the odd events at a house in the southeastern shore of Loch Ness in the early 1900s may be responsible for the appearance of the legendary beast. Do you think he actually summoned Nessie? We're going to find out here. As a young man, of course, Crowley's interest in alchemy led him to be introduced to a member of the Hermetic Society of the Golden Dawn, a magical order in Great Britain that shaped the world of Western occult beliefs in the 20th century. And in no time at all, Crowley had been initiated into the society by its leader, Samuel Liddell McGregor Mathers. And having the fortune of being born to a wealthy family, Crowley had the time and resources to devote his pursuits of magical enlightenment, a journey that led him to Loch Ness in search of a spirit that he called his holy guardian angel. You don't think so either? Michelle, you don't believe that? Yeah. But he called this, he was in search of a spirit, his holy guardian angel, or higher self. What Crowley didn't know at the time is that his impending attempt at contacting the spirit would long be considered an occult disaster by any magical practitioner. In 1889, looking for a suitable place to perform an ancient summoning ritual from the Book of Sacred Magic, Crowley purchased the Boleskine House in Loch Ness. The house was considered perfect for the ceremony due to its relative seclusion, because, as Crowley put it, one must have a house where proper precautions against disturbances can be taken. And of course, this being arranged, there's really nothing left to do but to aspire with increasingly fervor and concentration for 6 months towards the obtaining of the knowledge and conversation of the holy guardian angel, Nessie. The house also sported the necessary opening to the north, where Crowley built a terrace adorned with fine silver sand, river sand, adorned with fine river sand, a place where, as proof of the ritual's progress, the footprints of spirits were to appear. You guys believe this? Crowley considered this building to be the Thelemic Qibla, a kind of esoteric Mecca or focal point for mystical energy, making it a powerful center for performing magical rituals. When all preparations had been set, Crowley began the ritual, citing in his personal diary a promise not to offend God or work ill against his neighbors. His intentions for this ceremony were simple. If misunderstood by many, Crowley intended to evoke what he called the Lords of Darkness in a painstakingly 6-month ritual that would compel them to serve the forces of good, a process hopefully culminating in the contact by the higher self, a guardian angel of sorts, who would see Crowley through to enlightenment. And as one can imagine, these so-called dark forces would not take kindly to being bound to the light, and were expected to put up a fight. In his diary, Crowley describes some of the odd effects. And I quote, "One day I came back from shooting rabbits on the hill and found a Catholic priest in my study. He had come to tell me that my lodge keeper, a total abstainer for 20 years, had been raving drunk for 3 days and had tried to kill his wife and children. I got an old Cambridge acquaintance to take Rosher's place, but he too began to show symptoms of panic fear. He even tells of a local man he had hired for general labor going mad and attempting to kill him. Can't imagine. And a local butcher accidentally cutting off his own hand while reading one of Crowley's notes. Despite these so-called clear signs, Crowley continued to work on the ritual, going so far as to deny visits from friends for fear of their safety. And meanwhile, in